Shalom, Israel, Judah, brother DFG. Hey, brothers and sisters, far too often we have a lot of conversation. I'm cutting to the chase this morning. We have a lot of conversation in terms of, the Torah and keeping of Abba Yah's Torah, which we know as Israel we are commanded to do. If we are to expect his blessings, his guidance, his protection, his redemption, his salvation, then we have to show obedience unto his word. Solomon reminded us that, of course, in Proverbs 28:9, that even our prayers are an abomination to Abba Yahuwah if we're not keeping his Torah. So this morning, I just want to take a few minutes today and review chapter 25 in the book of Deuteronomy, Abba Yah's Torah. Far often we would go through the book and we find little parts in the book that, may resonate. We'll go to Deuteronomy 22:5, or we'll go over to Exodus 20 and 4 and 5, or Exodus 22 and 20, Deuteronomy chapter, 18. We go over to Numbers chapter 23, 19. And those places are strong constitutions. And we visit those a little bit more often than we visit some of the other places in the Torah. And so I want to take a moment and just make us comfortable, just so that we understand when we're looking at Abba Yah's Torah, we have to look at it in its completion. Does that mean that we can keep everything inside of his Torah? No, it does not. I'm not saying that. I'm not implying that. But what I am saying is that these disciplines are written for our enhancement, for our betterment, again, for our protection, our redemption, our salvation as the people of Israel, Abba Yah's chosen. Israelite, bloodline, melanated Israel, okay? And so with that being stated, I thought I would take some time and just look at chapter 25. As we go through chapter 25 in the book of Deuteronomy, if I didn't say that already, in our Torah, then I just want to make clear up on front that the intent here is not to throw shade at anybody. This is not even about, questioning anyone individual in particular, any group, any gender in particular. So that's what I mean about the intent is not to throw shade at anybody. In truth, it's about showing light or shining light on all of us. So we understand that those disciplines are here for our, again, correction and to make sure that our behavior, is acceptable before Abba Yahuwah. And also just to drive home some points, P-O-I-N-T-S. But in addition to that, just for conversation, to provoke conversation, so that as we continue to explore Abba Yah's Torah, as we get closer to his return, what we know as the end of man's time, you follow me, his judgment of this wicked earth, that was the earth that became wicked, as it states today. That, we have a better understanding of what are those things that we need to be mindful of, what are those things that are expected of us in terms of, our behavior, what are those things, what does discipline look like when our behavior, is falling, beneath the expectations of what is written in Abba Yah's Torah for Israel, okay? Israel. And I want to emphasize this again. Israel, this is our Torah. This is our history book. This is written for our instruction. And our ability to embrace that truth and walk in that truth will determine whatever quality of life we have while we're still here and how we're going to spend our eternity. And I think that is probably, without question, the most important thing that we all should be considering right now, again, as we inch closer and closer. And I don't want to get too deep into things beyond Deuteronomy 25, but brothers and sisters, if you're paying attention, you can see all over the world. One of the things I will bring to your attention is what's happening, on the continent of what they call Africa. And I talked about this a while back, how these African nations or presidents were rising up and pretty much telling the United States that they were no longer going to be, their sock puppets, that they were no longer going to allow America to ramrod them into submission, or the West for that matter, not just America, France, Great Britain, etc. And I said then, and I say it now, that, America was not, or the West was not going to stand on the sidelines and let that happen. And regardless of how powerful China may be or Russia may be in their investments in Africa, the one thing you may or may not have noticed in all of that investment in Africa from China and Russia, you notice they're not giving them weapons. You notice that? They're not giving them defense weapons, anything like that, nuclear weapons. Now, when they aligned themselves with Syria, they started giving President Assad over there all kinds of defense weapons. Same thing with Erdogan. At least they were inviting him to get those things, and Erdogan more or less was buying them from Russia. Nobody said anything, and that was kind of Russia's working with them. China, working, with them. Same thing in Venezuela, when Russia sent, warplanes to Venezuela and gave them, defense weaponry, for missiles that could be coming from the United States. But when it comes down to Africa, it's all about investing and taking advantage of the resources in Africa. And they'll build alliances and partnerships. Let us not forget, least we forget. There's an old proverb that when the heathens went into Africa, I'm talking about the so-called Europeans, all of them, the West, when they went into Africa, the Africans had the gold. They had the minerals. And the heathens came in, with their Christianity, the Islam. And when the heathens left out of Africa, the Africans had religion, Christianity, Islam, or what have you, and the heathens had all of their resources. And ultimately, they became a colonized, enslaved people. Nothing new under the sun. And now what you see going on is all this turmoil in Africa, all of those African leaders who were talking all of that talk, and I'm not speaking against them. I'm not African. I'm not speaking against them. What I'm saying is that I said it then and I'm saying it now. They will they will tear Africa to shreds, but before they allow Africa to align themselves up with their enemies. I'm talking about the West. And you're seeing it right now live in action, and you wait until they're done with Africa. And again, if Africa allies are China and Russia, as many of the populace, are promoting and talking and boasting about, why aren't those countries, the countries who have so-called advanced technology, weapon technology, why aren't they investing in that weaponry in Africa? Why aren't they doing the same thing for Africa that they did for South America, is what I'm saying. And other nations. Australia doesn't matter. The so-called Middle East nations. Again, Syria, Iran. You don't see that kind of behavior. You know why? Because at the end of the day, they are Confederate. And I don't care whether or not, they're Israelites of Africa or Canaanites or Hamites. They still see us all as, a nation of heathens. And they would never, put us in a position giving the authority to do so, or the opportunity to do so, where we could defend ourselves against them. Yeah, they want us to take their trinkets, their silver and gold. What did Bob Marley's song say? They tricked us with trinkets and gold, something like that. Tricked us right, I'm messing the whole damn song up. That's not Bob Marley, that's still Pulse. They tricked us with trinkets and beads. Tricked us right into slavery. Religion, our custom, classic arts, put away in museums now. Oh, people, don't you see the plot? To take all that we have, or all we got. Nothing new under the sun there. But I bring that up and bring that out because the residual effects of that is going to make its way all around this flat earth. Trust me when I tell you that. And what you're seeing now is the beginning, again, of the end of Africa as you know it. Time will tell if your brother's right. But according to the book, I'm telling you, it's coming. But not just there across this whole flat earth, but wars and rumors of wars and disease and plagues and all those things are going to originate there. They're going to be planted there intentionally. And the rest of us, wherever we are, will be the victims of it. I'm talking about Israel. I'm not talking about the heathen nations again, because they are confederate against who again? Psalms 83 reminded us, Israel, the chosen of Abba Yah. All of our brothers and sisters, wherever you might be, scattered amongst this flat earth. And you need to be aware of that. And please stop drinking the Kool-Aid of, Africa is going to rise up. How? Most of the Africans are heathens. I know some of you get offended when me said they're Hamites, Canaanites, they're heathens. Strangers, but heathens. They're not the seed of the fallen. That's different. That's a different ethnic group. We already know who they are. The book clearly told us that if you were reading the Apocryphal book, you know they are the non-melanated ones. White skin, with transparent skin, where you can see in their skin and see their blood, which gives them a pinkish appearance. Pinkish. I don't have anything around here pink. If I did, I would gotta show you what I'm talking about. But they're the non-melanated ones. They're not hard to spot. They're all over this flat earth. Asia, South America, Australia, all of them. Look around. They're there. Talking about the non-melanated ones, not the melanated ones. Those are the seed of the fallen. Those are not the strangers. Those are what they are. Book of Enoch called them, Enoch 105, he said there what? Our Yah told Enoch to remind us that they were flesh, they had flesh as skin, but they had no spirits. And therefore there was nothing that they would not do to survive. They had no limits, you know what I'm saying? No limits whatsoever. That's why they eat bats and rats and all kinds of stuff. Food with blood in it, unclean foods. Now this is the book, so don't come at your brother. It is what it is. But as regards to the Hamites and the Canaanites, let's just say, the seeds or the children of Noah, Japheth, Ham, and Shem, where Ham and Japheth, they're still around. And those are the heathen nations. But when you start looking at the seed of the fallen, then you're talking about the non-melanated ones all over this flat earth. The ones who are typically more than willing to give weapons of war, share their technology with, because they are allied with them. And, of course, they take their orders from the fallen. Those are down. What did Admiral Byrd say around the South Pole? He was really talking about Antarctica and what's going on under there that's happening and that we're seeing now in the form of so-called artificial, clever word, but the intelligence of the wicked. And fast taking over. Well, they've already taken over. They're everywhere. They're in your cell phone. They're in your music instruments, your Alexas, your Siris, whatever it is, your GPS system. They're everywhere. They're in the toads. They're in the sky. They're everywhere already. They're not coming. They're here. We're just starting to see the manifestation of it now, including the ones who look like their fathers, the other ones they want to call now aliens. No such thing as an alien. But you're looking at the seed of the fallen, and they're going to link up, with their seed who's been here, who we didn't know. We assumed they were human. They never act human, but we assumed that they were. They pushed their religion on us and try to make it seem as though they were us. That's why they added those books, New Testament, so-called Testament included, to try to include themselves to mix among us, tares with wheat, so that we wouldn't know the difference. But Yah said in the last days, knowledge would increase. And now our knowledge is increasing, and now we can see them for who they are, if your eyes are open. The 1/3. 2/3 of us will never see who these people are. And to you 1/3 who can see, don't waste your time trying to convince the 2/3 not to see. They are intentionally blinded from Abba Yah because their hearts are turned towards Yahuwah because they love the strange gods of this world. They're religious gods. And y'all know their names by now. From Jesus to Yahushua to Amon-Ra to Buddha to Krishna to Kali to all of them. Poseidon, Zeus, Thor, Apollo, Tammuz, Ra. I can go on. Deanna, Mary, Peter, Paul. So Yah has blinded them. In our study this past Wednesday night, we saw another example of that with Esau. I'm sorry, not Esau, but we saw that with Ishmael, we saw it with Eliezer, and we saw it with Isaac. And Abraham had asked him a simple question. Who can see Yahuwah? Isaac said, I see him in the mountain. Then he said, what about you two? Talking about Eliezer and Ishmael. The so-called Arab and the fallen seed. And they both looked and said, no, we see nothing. And Abraham said, yeah, you're not supposed to see it. So again, brothers and sisters, just so you're aware, I'm sorry, Eliezer, I don't know what he come out of. He probably was a Canaanite, so let me correct myself there. What we would call, someone maybe from the African continent. But the long and the short of it is this, and most important is that of the three, only one could see, or again, the 1/3. So if you can see and you can understand and you can follow where your brother is coming from, then you're blessed of our Yahuwah. So keep working, keep studying, continue in prayer, keep focused, stay the course. You're on the right track, the right path. Don't let the 2/3 who can't see, the 2/3 who refuse to come out. They traveled along with Isaac. They traveled along with Abraham, but they were too busy trying to figure out who was going to get Abraham's inheritance. They didn't give a damn about, what was right and what was wrong. And that's how the heathens think. It's all about gain for them, never sacrifice. But again, that's all I'll share with you from the study. Again, you're always welcome to join us, and if you're with us or you were among us, Abiyah blessed us with insight, is what I'm saying. And if you were not, then, I'm sure you were busy doing whatever you were doing, and, that's your business, not mine. But let me continue on. Let's get on back to, I just wanted to kind of frame that up, let you see the turmoil that's going on over in Africa, and it's going to have residual effects, brothers and sisters. It's happening there, but it's going to spread when they attack and they take them down and wipe them out, because they are not going to let them align themselves up with their enemies. I'm talking about the West is not going to let Africa line itself up with China and Russia without a fight, without a WW3. Okay? They're not going to let that happen without WW3 going on. And when they start talking about the WAR word, brother, chemical warfare, if chemicals and biochemicals, all those things are on the table. Zechariah talked about people's eyes melting in their sockets, tongues melting in their mouths, their skin melting. And that's not the only place where those references exist. And they have the power. The technology now, DOM. Go look up that word, DOM, military weaponry. That's all I'll say about that. And you can understand exactly what these heathens have gotten from their forefathers, their forefathers. Their forefathers are fallen. What they've been working on for who knows how long, probably decades, maybe hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years of technology. And now it's coming to fruition. Now you're seeing it. It's being revealed. But of course, the clever story is, this is just, these are alien craft, and these are this and these are that. And our people, are so gullible, they kind of conflating it with something they saw on Star Wars. They're pre-programmed, socially engineered for you to think that it was coming from beyond the firmament, when it was already always here under the earth and some above. All right? So that's all I'm going to give you on that, okay? Much more. For my brothers and sisters who are going to be on a Zoom call tonight, we can get into this. We can chop this up a little bit, okay? But for the rest of my brothers and sisters, you're going to have to do your research. And again, if you're the 1/3, you know what I'm talking about already. I'm just, how you say, what's the old saying? I'm just pulling your coat. But let's go to the Torah. And again, we want to look at the Torah because, again, we can't confess or profess that we keep Abiyah's Torah and we're not studying it from a standpoint of application. It's one thing to read the Torah. It's something totally different to execute what it is that we're reading. Those, again, the things that we can execute, you can execute. If you can do it, you're accountable for it. Anything that is allowed in this on this so-called earth, well, it is earth, if it can be done, we're going to be held accountable for doing it. And if it's beyond our ability to do it, then that's where the mercy and the grace of Abba Yah comes into play. But trust me when I tell you this, brothers and sisters, you're not going to be able to leverage it because you don't want to do it. And I'm talking about it is just beyond one's ability. It's not practical. You can't do it. You just flat out can't do it. I'm not talking about sacrifices that you would have to make to do it. If you have to make sacrifices to do it, then you will be held accountable for making that sacrifice. Again, when we studied in the study this past Wednesday night, Abraham and Isaac were challenged to make the ultimate sacrifice. And although they were crying and sad about it, guess what? They cheerfully made those sacrifices. They didn't get caught up in, family. They didn't get caught up in what's going to happen to them, where they're going to end up at. No, it was stressful for them to do it, but they did it, willingly, because they understood the importance of keeping Abba Yah's commandments. So in this, I bring that out because some of my brothers and sisters, some of you are guilty of this, and you are, is that, you're only keeping what you want to keep. And you're saying, well, that's what the law says. Abba Yah don't give a damn about these heathens' covenants, so that's not going to cut it for you. You're not going to be able to go before Abba Yah and say, President Biden said it was okay for me to marry a man. Therefore, I had no problem embracing homosexuality. Try it if you want. You better go back and read what Deuteronomy 22 and 18 says. 18 and 22 says. 20 and 13. Not Deuteronomy, Leviticus. Go back and read what Leviticus 18:22 it says in our Torah. Leviticus 20 and 13 in our Torah. This can get a little tongue twisting, but Satan, you can forget that shit. I'm going to give this out whether he wants me to give this out or not. This is coming. So I'm just saying that because I can see the little tongue twisting and different things going on. Surely because I have a lot, in here. And I know where we're about to go. It's going to be treading in some area where some of you are not going to want to hear this. But I'm going to share it because you can't profess that you keep Abba Yah's Torah. You trust in Abba Yah's Torah, and yet you don't even know what's there. And even if you're reading right over it, or you're reading it and just moving on. Well, I got chapter 25 done. I'm going to chapter 26 tomorrow. This is not scholarly, brothers. This is a lifestyle, sisters. It's not to prove your knowledge about the Torah. This is about to evaluate your walk as a believer. And those are two totally different things. Again, we do what we can do. And what we can't do, then that's where Yah's mercy and grace comes into play. And again, let me go back to what I said a moment ago. This is not to throw shade on anybody. In other words, this is not an attack on anyone. This is information for discussion, for contemplation, for meditation. So that you don't find yourself outside looking in, thinking that you are inside, protected from those things without. Hallelujah. Okay, let's go to work here. Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 1. If there be a controversy between men, and they come unto judgment, that the judges may judge them. So for all of those individuals talking about Abba Yah says we don't judge. Okay. This is why the teachings is so important, brothers. I've said it before, and by the way, get your hammer and saw. But I say many times, that's why you shouldn't be in an environment where they're doing a bunch of telling and they're not teaching. And even those who are teaching are not giving you precepts that align with what it is you're supposed to be learning and understanding. Those environments are set up for control purposes only, to zombify you, like a damn zone, a clone or something. We are alive. We're strengthened. I don't want to say spontaneous, but we should be very active, very proactive people, a lively people. You shouldn't be in any environment where they just ho-humming and putting you to sleep. And you walk out the place and they ask you, well, what they talking about today? And you can't remember. Because you sat there and they cast spells on you, telling you stuff. They were spell casting right from the pulpit, right from their wicked altar. that they had many of our people running up into, some of us, once upon a time. That's why they can't remember anything when they walk out of there, because they were under the spell of idolatry in those places. Look around. What's up on the wall? What's up on the ceiling? What's on the building? And see if any of those things violate Abba Yah's Torah. Yet they tell you they believe in the Torah. At least some do. Others just flat out just tell you it's done away with, which makes them liars. And if you're following them, it makes you deceived. But it's not going to excuse you from Abba Yah's judgment. Whatever happens to them, happens to whoever follows them. Don't forget that. So when they say that we're not supposed to judge, then this says clearly, not only do we judge, but we judge before, do we bring them before the elders, those who are Abba Yah set apart, who are qualified to judge his people. And yes, there are many of us who Abba Yah has risen and raised and developed and cultivated and positioned us for it. If you go back and read Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5, he knew some of us, well, he knew us all before we were formulated in our mother's womb. So that means he knew our destinations, who would be what and who would do what. Even those who would go into rebellion against him. So yes, we do have judges, and yes, we are expected to judge. But we judge according to Abba Yah's Torah, not according to our opinion or how we might feel, or some private interpretation that we go and we get so that we can justify doing something that we really don't want to do. So we find individuals who tell us, well, you know, that's for you to decide for yourself, as though Abba Yahuwah's word, a Torah, is not the strength of his truth. So yes, we do judge, and we ought to be judged by those who are qualified to judge. And there are men, because if that's not true, then this is a lie. And Abba Yah's word is not a lie. You're the liar who's teaching you that they are the liars. But I'll read it again in case you didn't hear it. If there be a controversy, y'all know what controversy means, between two men, or men, any men, and they come unto judgment. In other words, somebody needs to make a decision, that the judges may judge them. That the judges may judge them. And he ain't talking about no heathen judges, talking about in Israel. We judge according to Abba Yah's Torah, not according to the laws of the land, wherever you may be on this flat earth. Then they shall justify the righteous and condemn the wicked. And that's all that foolishness, these lying idiots talking about only Yah can judge me. You're a damn lie. He put me. All right. That's not true. Yah put judges to judge you. You don't want to be judged by men because you want to do what you want to do. So you come up with these little clever statements with nothing to back it up. Or you let these liars tell you in these gospels that they made up, written by men, to contradict Abba Yah's true word. And you bought into it because it allows you to do wicked. It allows men to be evil. Women and men. That's the only time it comes up. You can't judge me when you catch somebody or you hold them accountable for something that goes against Abba Yah's word. Then all of a sudden they want to start talking about who can judge them and who can't. Abba Yah's word is judging all of us. And he put judges in place to help us understand it so that we don't get anything, wrong in judgment, that we judge righteous judgment. Verse 2. And it shall be, if the wicked man be worthy to be beaten, that the judge shall cause him to lie down and to be beaten before his face according to his fault by a certain number. Well, brother, that is cruel. See, again, you're looking at it one-sided here. It's talking about wicked. And some of our people, but it's still wrong. Okay, so if someone was to harm your daughter, harm your son, let's just say sexually assault them, are you good with them not being held accountable? What if they were to take the life of your daughter or son? Are you good with them not being held accountable? Then why you have a problem with this? You see the contradiction? And this is why we need to talk about this. That's why the Torah is here. And it is to be taught, examined, reviewed, and then implemented. Because at the end of the day, this is for those who did wicked, not for the just. You live according to Abba Yah's Torah and you are obedient, then guess what? It doesn't apply to you. If I don't go around there and, and out there and harming people and assaulting people and doing all kind of wickedness out there, then, even this old wicked system, chances are they won't bother me. I'm talking about it for as judge, convicting me of something. It happens, so don't get me wrong here. But it's not the norm. That's an anomaly, more or less. Totally innocent, getting locked up and getting accused of things they didn't do. It does happen. No question about that. You'll never hear that come out of my mouth. But for the most part, those who are, being held accountable for certain crimes have played some role in those crimes. For the most part. All right? Always that rare exception of the innocence. Or innocent. But see, that's the wicked world system. See, but you're in Abba Yah in Israel, see, you won't have to deal with that. Because y'all are going to have judges who are going to come and they're going to weigh everything. Go back and read the story of Susanna. And see how the little wicked judges, in this instance, were trying to play clever because they were trying to sexually assault her. And she held her position. She said, hell no. I'm not violating. And if you lie on me and I get held accountable, so be it. Because they tried to lie on her. They did lie on her. And y'all sent Daniel. Yeah, the same Daniel that we know about. And Daniel came out there and he went on defense for her and told the judge, wait a minute, you guys are not looking at this closely. Get them two accusers back in there. Let me question their asses. Daniel made Johnny Cochran look like a damn amateur. Daniel was sharp because Daniel was walking in Abba Yah's truth. Daniel was getting his wisdom from the Creator. Any righteous judge is going to be getting his wisdom from Abba Yahuwah. And you don't have to look hard. He can look right in the Torah for Abba Yah's judgment. You want to know how Abba Yah feels about something? It's written in the Torah. It's the Torah, nothing but the Torah. You're here for that reason. You're not here for any other. Why are you here? If you don't want to learn and really explore, why are you here? And I say that respectfully. You're here because you want to know. You're looking for something. And that's intelligent minds, that's what they do. They search things out. That's why you're here. You're not here to agree with me. You're not here to be, controlled or manipulated by me. Are you serious? I'm not Elohim. I'm just one of his messengers. In some cases, I'm one of his judges. Depends on what comes before me. And guess what? I'm accountable to judging it right. I'm accountable for speaking it out right, too. And I'm accountable for not shying away from complicated, controversial subjects. As verse 1 said, if there be a controversy, we're not supposed to run away from controversial things. That's a weakness. That's cowardly. You deal with it. You don't worry about how others feel about it. You deal with it. If you're put in a position for judgment, then you cannot, if you run away from that, Yah will judge you for you not judging it. That's why your brother just call it out. I'm not concerned whether or not you like it or not. If I offend you, do I feel great about offending you? No. I don't feel great about it. But, hey, it is what it is. If you're offended, you're offended. But if you are offended, then you're offended because of the truth. Because I'm not going to share anything with you that's not in this book. And I'm going to, again, remind you, back it up. Go back up. Go do your own research. And then if you think I'm out of order, if I'm missing something, then bring it up, bring it out. And we'll deal with it from there. There can't be no two rights. It's either all the way truth or it's a lie. Simple as that. And I'm not interested in encouraging lies because of inconvenient truth. It goes on to say, verse 3, Deuteronomy 25:3, 40 stripes he may be given, and not to exceed. Talking about the wicked who going to get an ass whipping for wickedness. And sometimes it ain't men. Sometimes y'all be putting ass whipping on us. You're like, man, all those stuff going on. That's y'all trying to get your attention, brother, sister, because you out of order. And he's no respecter of person. Some whippings, will come from y'all. Other whippings may come from wherever they come from. Some of our people are getting the hell beat out of them by these damn heathens because they love these heathens. So y'all say, okay, you love them so much, when they beat your ass, then don't be coming over here talking about, I can't believe they racist. No, you're an idiot. You shouldn't have been over there with them in the first damn place. You shouldn't put yourself in a position where they could take advantage of you. You love them so damn much, and then when they turn on you like they will, then you're over there running around, they talking about racism, Black Lives Matters. You ain't gonna ease the pain. You're not gonna get the knee off your neck. If you don't want the pain, you don't want the knee on your neck, then do righteous. What is righteous? Abba Yah's Torah. Learn it. Be taught it. And then you leverage that knowledge with your people to make sure they learn it and that they're taught about it, including your children. That's the safe way. That's the just way. That's the righteous way. That's Yahuwah's way. Let us continue on. Again, verse 3. 40 stripes he may be given, and not to exceed that. Least if he should exceed it, not to exceed it. Least if it should exceed it, and beat him above with many stripes, then your brother shall seem vile unto you. So that's why these wicked ass heathens, when they had our people enslaved and still enslaved in the prison system, so let me make sure, I clarify that. Your 13th Amendment, or their 13th Amendment, justifies that slavery is still striving in America. Still doing well. Millions of our brothers and sisters are incarcerated, in the new plantation system called the penitentiary. Just for the record. And they wrote it in their 13th Amendment. So read it and you'll see it. They say, except for committers of a crime. And then they created every kind of offense they could think of, every type of innocent. They created every kind of they made violations, every single thing that they knew that we would be naturally drawn to. They made it a violation, including the child support system, to incarcerate our brothers, to tear them away from their families and give them no chance to rectify their error, to get on their feet, to work through it. No, lock them up. They fell behind, lock them up. And they taught the daughters of Zion, oh, by the way, come on over to our courts because we need your help to lock them up. And we'll supplement you because ultimately we know without having him in the house with you and your sons, eventually they're going to outgrow you. They're going to get stronger than you. And guess what? For the most part, they're going to stop listening to you and they're going to get out in the streets and they're going to join other little gangs and other little cohorts. And before you know it, just like Proverbs 1 said about the young men getting with other young men and getting into folly and getting into wickedness. And before you know it, we got 2 generations right over here on our plantation. And we got you as our feeder system. Just think about it, sisters. Just reflect on it. I'm not asking you to agree with me on that. That is a personal observation for study over 40 years of studying, watching their behavior and studying them out. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to call that a history of Black America. This is not if you follow me in this channel, we got some information here. This is another one, the Delectable Negro. Thank you to my brother Adrian for that gift. And then we got Without Sanctuary. Thank you for the heathens. But more important, to our dear sister who put this book together for our information. I'm trying to find her name real quick to make sure she gets her credit. Hallelujah. Well, there's several people. James Allen, Hilton Ells, even old John Lewis wicked ass has something to do with this, and Leon Litwack, for getting this book published and put out here. And again, I know people get offended when I show this, so I try to be careful. So mothers, those of you who are easily offended, turn your head right quick. But this is the picture that the heathens left to remind us of how wicked they could be to our brethren. So I'm coming at you with information and knowledge is what I'm saying. So when I give you my opinion, it is a qualified opinion. I'm not saying I have to be necessarily, I'm not saying that you have to necessarily agree with it, but it's, it is a qualified, learned opinion is what I'm saying. In terms of historical facts about things that these heathens have done, including written inside of their constitution to ensure that we are always in a position of servitude as a nation, Israel in particular, so-called African Americans. Let us continue on here. Verse 4. In other words, it says we don't abuse our brother. That's why it said 40 stripes. You don't go more than 40 licks, because then you're trying to hurt the man. You're trying to destroy them, and that's not the intent of correction. Correction is to get them on the right track and let them know there's consequences for wickedness. And hopefully they won't do it anymore. If you grew up in my generation, we learned real young that, spare the rod, spoil the child. That's Proverbs, by the way. Save his soul from hell. That's Proverbs. If you say, no, well, you put that rod on his butt or her butt, you ain't going to have too many problems out of her. Or him. But this generation, they said, no, just let them run, do whatever they want to do, whatever they imagine to do, and now look what you're getting. How did Kumo D say? How you like me now? And I think most of us would say we don't like what we're seeing now. Lack of discipline. That's why we have an instruction book. Our Yah put in front of us the Torah with judgments in it. Blessings are in it, but judgments are in it as well. Let us continue on. Hallelujah. Got a little sinus thing going on here. Verse 4. You shall not muzzle the ox which treads out the grain. And that's a real simple. That says it all within itself. If something is a resource to you, take care of it. If something you value, then show respect to it. That's what that means. Don't take advantage of something that you need. Don't neglect something that you need. If you know you need that ox to plant your, for harvest, for planting season, you might want to feed that ox. Okay? So you take care of those you need. As content, that's me. Forget them devils. When you come down here, you'll hear me talk about offerings. You follow me? I'm only saying that from a standpoint that, you're supporting. Stephen Darby used to always say, if you're learning here, then why wouldn't you invest here? And I don't disagree with that. There's no charge for our Yah's truth. But giving gifts and being a blessing to the truth teller, that's integrity. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't let anybody tell you that lie. So that's, when you see, you should not muzzle the ox that tread out the grain. That's what it's talking about. Invest in those who invest in you. Verse 5. If your brethren dwell together, and one of them to die, and have no child, and the woman of the dead shall not marry unto a stranger. In other words, the widow should not marry a stranger. The man's brother shall go into her and take her to him to be his woman, and perform the duty of a man's brother unto her. Means that make babies with her. In this wicked society, it can tell you 2 men can sleep together, 2 women can sit together, but they'll tell you that if you with your husband die and his brother comes there to make sure that your husband's legacy is not going, oh, that's evil, that's wicked. They'll tell you that's wicked. Yet that's book. How many of you guys know the story of Esther and Ruth? No, not Esther and Ruth, Naomi and Ruth. Remember when Ruth was given presented to Boaz? Remember Boaz said, is there any relatives here? Now Ruth was a Moabite, but she had married an Israelite. She was the wife of an Israelite, Naomi's sons. Naomi was originally, he was Boaz's cousin. She was an Israelite. When she went back home, she brought Ruth back with her to her people. Ruth said, I'll follow you. I'll go wherever you go. Your Yahuwah will be my Yahuwah. Remember? But before Boaz could take her as a woman, he had to see if she had any relatives. Remember? Does she have any living relatives? And when he found out that she had that Naomi's sons did not have brothers alive, because remember, both of Naomi's sons had died. Once he understood that there was no brother, then he could have Ruth. And Ruth couldn't be given to, you know what I'm saying? All right. And Ruth wasn't to be married off to no stranger either, by the way. And that's why he asked that question. That's why he went around to see if she had any relatives, because he was obeying Abba Yah's Torah. See, the Torah is written all through the Tanakh. See, the Torah should be intertwined in our lives, brothers and sisters. It's not some set-apart thing we go look at on Shabbat. We should be living, walking out the Torah every single day. And that's why I started this message. It's one thing to know it, it's something totally different to execute it, live in it. It should become a part of who we are. That's why the Torah is relevant. It's a lifestyle. It's not a tradition. It's not a ceremony. It's not a custom. It's a lifestyle. It's a government around how to live righteously before Abba Yahuwah. Verse 6. And it shall be that the firstborn which she bears shall succeed in the name of his brother which is dead, and that his name be not put out of Israel. Okay? Just explain that to you. Verse 7. And if a man refuses to take his brother's woman, and let his brother's woman go up to the gate, he said, then let her go up to the gate unto the elders. Those are the seasoned, the experienced among Israel. Some call the gray-headed graybeard. Not all gray-headed and graybeard is wisdom, so don't get me wrong here. But the elders are those who are our leaders. The heathen tell you don't respect your elders. But Abba Yah said, if you respect your elders, I will bless you. They're put in place so that they can share their experiences with you, so that you don't have to, or that you can make the best decision. Let's say it that way. They can share with you the errors they made. They can share with us the success, or you the successes that they have. That's why they're important in your life. Not to tell you what to do. Ultimately, the choice is yours. But if you're going to walk in Abba Yah's Torah and you're going to be redeemed and call yourself a part of the 1/3, then you have to be cooperative and you have to seek their knowledge. And when they pass that knowledge through the judges to make sure everything is consistent with Abba Yah's truth, then if you're going to be a part of the 1/3 and reap eternal bliss, then you're going to have to be okay with that. Pride is rebellion. High-mindedness is witchcraft. So you can't come in this with, nobody going to tell me nothing. If that's your attitude, that's your attitude. But just remember, that attitude is going to take you right where the other who are in rebellion going to go. The other witches and warlocks. And trust me, you're not going to like it where you end up at with that mindset. But ultimately, it's still your choice. But we're here to help. I'm talking about the righteous of Israel, those who are in the book. We're here to help. And that's what this is talking about. Hallelujah. Again, verse 7 again. And if a man like not to take his brother's woman, because we already read he's instructed to do so if his brother dies. If his brother's alive, that's adultery, and they will stone his ass to death. So let's not get that twisted. You don't sleep with your brother's wife. That's called adultery. But if he's dead, that's a whole different matter. Okay, let's go on. Verse 7. And if the man like not take or refuse to take his brother's woman, then let his brother's woman go up to the gate unto the elders and say, my man's brother refuses to raise up unto his brother a name in Israel. He will not perform the duty of my man's brother. In other words, he won't, give her seed. Then the elders of the city shall call him, that man, and speak unto him. And if he stand to it and say, in other words, if he don't want to change his mind, I'm going to hold my position, I ain't doing it. He says, and like not to take her, then shall his brother woman come unto him in the presence of the elders, and loose his shoe from off his foot, and spit in his face. This is the man who's saying he ain't going to do it. I'm going to hold my ground. I don't care what y'all say. I ain't doing it. That's you. That's him. That's her. He said, let spit, say, and spit in his face, and shall answer and say, so shall it be done unto the man that will not build up his brother's house. And what it's saying, when they loosen you, say loosen his shoe, mean make him make him unuseful, because you can't try to walk around with loose shoes and see how hard it is to get where you're trying to go. And then he says to spit in their face. And remember, spit in their face. Go back to Numbers chapter 12, when Miriam went against Moses. And remember what the judgment of Yah said? Well, if Miriam's father had spit in her face, wouldn't she be put out the camp? So what it's saying here is that he is to be thrown out of the camp. He is no longer to walk among his brethren, because he's in violation of Abba Yah's Torah. That's what this is implying. It's not implying, this is what it's indicating. Because he refused to obey Abba Yah's Torah, because he don't agree with it. And that's what's going to happen to many of our brothers, because simply because you don't agree with it, and you still like, well, I don't agree with it, so I'm not going to do it. Then y'all say, okay, then we're going to spit in your face, and you're going to be thrown out amongst your people, from amongst your people. Verse 11, hallelujah. Well, verse 10. It says, and his name shall be called in Israel the house of him that had a shoe loosed. In other words, he's going to be an undesirable. That means he's no longer a part of the community. He's going to be ostracized, excommunicated, set apart, put away. No protection, no influence, no anything. Cut off. Verse 11. He said, when men strive one with one another, that means that they're fighting, and the woman and the woman of one of the men draw near to deliver the man out of the hand of him that smites him, and puts forth her hand and grabs him by his secrets. That means grabs him by his private parts. Then shall you cut off her hand, and you don't pity her. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to kick him in the, hit him in the, you know what? Yeah, I don't tolerate that kind of stuff, because part of a man's, provision in Israel is the ability to produce seed. And you're not supposed to be harming him there. There are other places you could hit him, but that place is off limits, is what it's saying. Keep that in mind. Just the law. And you say that, and sisters, somebody's attacking your man. He didn't say you can't help your man. You just don't be kicking the other guy down there. It's a law say you can't. I know it's like convenient. Well, that'll put a stop to it, Brother DFG. I know it will, but they're going to put a stop to your hand. So, again, that's how I said it. The book is not written for your convenience. It's not written for our convenience, brother. It's to be just. You hit him down there, you can harm him for life down there. They're just fighting. Not justified and condoning it, but men will fight. Brothers fight. But you're not supposed to take away his ability to produce life, is what it's saying. It's almost the equivalent, of saying murder is probably too strong, but when you take away of his ability to reproduce, then think about what you're doing. That's big. That's not a little thing. Before Abba Yahuwah, he said that we should be fruitful and multiply. And you stopped his ability to do that because they were fighting. And that's why the judgment is so harsh. Let us continue. Verse 13. And if you have in your bag different weights, great and small, You shall not have in your house different measures, great and small. Or you should not have, he said, you should not have in your bag different ways. In other words, this is another way brothers and sisters say we're not supposed to be trying to cheat people, take advantage of people. I was talking to a sister on yesterday, and she was saying that how that she tried to deal with different contractors, and every time you turn around, they're taking advantage of her. Wickedness. See, y'all's going to judge them for that behavior. They think they're getting over on her. Well, I'm going to order this, and I'm going to take a little bit for myself. She ain't going to know it. She don't know how much it takes to do this or that. Well, y'all knows. And what you stole from her, don't be surprised down the road you lose that whole damn business because you thought you were being clever. Then 2 or 3 years later, you go into something happened by nature, something happens, I don't know, a recession happens, you lose your business, and you over there talking about, man, this is rough on us. No, y'all just judge your wicked ass because you were wicked to her or him. It was payback. You're just too blind to see it. But Yah isn't blind. And he's telling us when we do justice, we have to be just. When we do business justly. We don't take advantage of one another, is what he's reminding us not to do. Whether it be in your businesses or whether it be in your household. Verse 15, but you shall have a perfect and just weight, a perfect and just measure shall you have, that your days may be lengthened in the land of Yahuwah gives you. So he said, if you do what's right amongst your brothers, Yah will bless it. So you don't have to cheat to get ahead. That's the heathen's way. The heathens cheat, lie, and steal to get ahead. Yah said we just treat each other, do unto them as we'd have them do unto us. Nobody would want to be ripped off, so you shouldn't be ripping nobody off. He said, if you would do just that, I will bless you. Whatever you put your hands to, I'll multiply it. What did Ecclesiastes, I think 11:9 say, in the morning plant your seed, in the evening let not your hands be idle, but thou know which of the two Yahweh is going to bless, if not both of them. So if you're taking care of your own business, you're doing the things you need to do, Yah will take care of the rest. We don't have to cheat each other, act like heathens amongst one another, because we see the heathens doing it to get ahead. If you follow the vain ways of the heathen, you're going to get what the heathen's going to get. Jeremiah 10 told us, learn not the ways of the heathen. They are vain. They are wicked. And this is just another reminder. That's all it is, brothers and sisters. Praise Yahuwah. Verse 16. He goes on. Look how strong this is, brother, about cheating your brothers and sisters. He says that for all that do such things and all that do unrighteously are an abomination unto Yahuwah. So for all of you saying, I'm going to just keep on getting over on my brothers and sisters, I'm going to keep on looking to take advantage of my brothers and sisters, okay, go ahead. But guess what? You're going to burn in hell. So have your fun now. You think you're getting over on them. I got to eat, bro. I got to do what I got to do. This is all to you drug dealers and hustlers out in the street who are pushing, all kind of wicked stuff amongst your brothers and sisters. You same thing with the women out here who are exploiting you, using, coming up with all kinds of clever ways to take advantage of Abba Yah's men. Using your creativity, your social media influencing, so-called, credibility, legitimacy, catering to their lust. Y'all gonna judge you for it. Well, it ain't my fault. Yeah, but you created the situation. And for you brothers who are chasing it, if you want to put them out of business, just cut it off. Cut off the source. So while you're judging them, just remember, you judge too. Because I can assure you, they wouldn't be bringing in that kind of income if the brother said, no, I'm not looking for nobody on no television to satisfy my intimate, my sexual, whatever kind of need I got. Forget about it. I'm going to get me a righteous woman of Zion. And we're going to work it out, and we're going to have it out, and we're going to fix it up, and we're going to do it right. And I'm going to be happy. She going to be happy. I's going to be happy. Right, honey? I better say it. Am I right about it? Hallelujah. Y'all know I had to throw that in. Praise God. Verse 17. Then he goes on to say, remember what Amalek did to you by the way when you were coming out of Egypt, and how he met you by the way, and he attacked you from behind. Even all that were feeble behind you, and when you were tired and weary,
And he feared not Elohim. We're talking about how the heathens have treated our people. I showed you some of the book. Their history written. They're trying to get rid of it now. Trying to erase the history of their wickedness now. But Yah said, no, remember what they did. Don't let them forget it. He said, Yah said, I'm going to judge them for what they did. Matter of fact, he said he's going to give them double for their trouble. Everything that them heathens have done to us in our weakness, in our times of woe, Yah said he's going to give them double for it. And so any of our brothers and sisters lining up over there with the heathen, you're joining the winning, you're joining the losing team. They're going to lose. They're winning now, but they're going to lose. And you're joining up with a bunch of losers thinking you're winning. Come out from among them. Be ye separate, says Abba Yahuwah. We don't need to follow them. Yeah, I know that their way could provide resources, but what's the value of those resources when it's going to destroy you ultimately and destroying your brothers and sisters? Because it could be your brother and your sister that's hooked on crack. It could be your sister who's out there on the street hoeing, or on Instagram hoeing, or OnlyFans hoeing. It could be your little daughter doing it. How do you feel about that? So while you're over there talking about, hey, bro, it is what it is, okay then. Interestingly enough, I'd like to see if it's your mama doing it, how you feel about it then. Oh, you don't care? Nah, sure, that's what you're going to say. Your daughter, you don't care? Okay, sure, that's what you're going to say. Well, don't you realize that makes you sound just like them wicked heathens who created the platform for those things to happen? For the detriment of your own people, just for the record. Those things were set up during that 2 years of what you call isolation coming inside, or whatever name they want to give it without saying that name. All that was set up with the intent of creating that kind of economy to teach our women to return away from family unto self. And taught our men not to appreciate true intimacy, but to exploit themselves or let themselves be exploited due to lust. Somebody got to say it, so I said it. Verse 19, back to the old wicked heathen, the Amaleks. Therefore it shall be, Yahuwah has given you rest from all of your enemies round and about in the land which Yahuwah gives you for an inheritance to possess it, that you shall not blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under the heaven, and you shall not forget it. Abiyah saying he ain't going to let those heathens get away with what they did, so don't join up with them, brother. Don't learn their ways. He said he ain't ever going to let them off the hook. They're going to pay for everything they have done. All those who have conspired against us. They're going to pay for it. A lot of us are going to be live to see it. They're already paying for it. It's just going to get a whole lot worse, a whole lot faster. But I just wanted to share that with you, chapter 25, Torah. Much more to come. All right, brothers and sisters, but hey, over there, they tell you. Over here, we teach you. So, if you're smart, where you think you ought to be? If you want to grow in knowledge, where you think you ought to be? If you want to have something to at least consider, where you think you ought to be? I'll let you be the judge. Hallelujah. Of that. That said, brothers and sisters, I want to thank everyone who, again, have been in support, of this channel in many ways. Financial, of course, because that's always important. But also sharing, thumbing up the video, that has its importance as well. We want to get the word out, the teachings out. Okay? We don't have a lot of time left, so let's not waste it. Brothers and sisters, again, y'all willing, I'll talk to you tomorrow on Shabbat. And again, don't forget about joining us on our Bible studies. You're always welcome. And again, share the videos, brothers and sisters. Learn from them. Replay it. Break it down. Again, get your hammer and your saw out. Do your research. I've given you some stuff. We studied one chapter. Many more to come. All right? But the Torah is our book. It's our constitution. All right? And we need to know about it. We need to not only have knowledge of it, we need to live it out, more importantly. We have to know it and then live it. Then we'll reap the blessings that Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 14 mentions. And many other places as well. Okay? All right, brothers and sisters. Thank you for your time. DFG, talk to you later. Yahuwah, shalom to you.